feeling lost in the maze of CPS? Desperate to get your child back? You're not alone. Countless parents face the heart-wrenching reality of family separation. The legal system can be overwhelming, but there's hope.
Now, here's the key. Hey, that's how you win a 6-month hearing.
Thank you.
If you do all of those things, you're going to blow your social worker's mind, you're going to blow your attorney's mind, and you're going to blow away the judge.
With attorney Vincent W. Davis, a dedicated legal expert with 39 years of experience, committed to helping families like yours. Join his weekly live Q&A on Zoom, where you can ask your burning questions about CPS cases. Get the knowledge and strategies you need to fight for your child's return.
Alrighty, good evening everyone. This is our question and answer session.
Are you ready to take control of your family's future? Participate as a one-time guest. Don't let fear hold you back. Take the first step towards reuniting your family. Join us now.
Good morning and welcome. It's January 18th. It's a Saturday morning here. And I'm glad you joined me to fight CPS with me, your host, Bob Pace. I find it is hard every time when we think about CPS because a lot of us know that it's an agency that's gone rogue. Now, I'm not saying that all CPS is corrupt or all CPS is bad, but it seems like after doing this podcast now for over 15 months, it started back in October 2023, that 99% of the people that have talked on here that I've talked to, there's been over at least 900 people here so far I've talked to on this podcast. People from all walks of life and people from all different places, not only in our country, but in 20 other countries around the world. Yes, I've had every state talk to me, including Washington, D.C., which is not a state. But I've also had 20 countries, from Bangladesh to India, several countries in the Middle East, 7 countries in Africa, and then, of course, Europe. I've had 8 countries there. Across the pond, I've had North America, where I've had several provinces in Canada, all the 50 states in the United States, Mexico, Grenada in South America, and then across the Pacific to New Zealand, and then Australia, several of its states too. And everybody seems to agree that CPS is only interested in making money and not really helping our families. CPS seems to prey on us when we're down and weak. A lot of us do not know how to fight CPS. I didn't know what CPS was. That's how bad. Yes, I've had a case too. Now, I'm not an attorney. I'm a loving father. I've helped raise 6 children. My oldest is 40s. I got 2 in the 30s, and I got 3 in their 20s, and 1 is still a teenager. I'd like you all, I'd start off with harassment by social workers saying they got a report that I was doing something, me and wife was doing something to her children, and every time I met with them, I disproved it. But they got angry enough, which they decided to get a hold of the police who, track me down. Now, they've been to my house before, he couldn't find anything, but this time they were determined to find something. So that's why they had 5 firemen, 2 code enforcement, 3 social workers, 2 uniformed policemen, all standing in front of my home in a private neighborhood. I live about a mile from the beach, and it's a beautiful home, and my children were beautiful. They weren't in danger, but they took your child when they're not in danger. That's another bad habit that CPS does. They seem that they're authority of everything. You don't know the laws, you don't know what to say, and it is scary. They bring the policemen along to help out for protection of the CPS workers, but it's also used as intimidation. To intimidate you to do stupid things like talk to them, like give them your children. Those are things you should never do. And my rule number 3, you never answer the door. You never let anybody in your home. You don't want to give that permission. And furthermore, you never want to give up your child. Too many of us are gullible. Excuse me. Okay, there it is. I have no idea. But anyway, I want to say good morning. I don't know why, but it is one of my viruses in my computer. And good morning, Tessa. Now, Felicia is from Ventura, California. And Tessa is from Northern California. And I'm glad you guys got up early because it is early in the morning. Typically, Saturday and Sunday, I come on at 8 o'clock. So it's early, and I'm so glad to see both of you, Felicia and Tessa. Because with you people here, you give support to me and to others, and I like that. Now, Felicia has gone through a lot of emotional distress, and so has Tessa. And they both want to get their children back. And so, ladies, this morning, what would you like to talk about? I can sit here and talk about a lot of things, but maybe since both you're in here, you like to talk about something. I am going to put how to interact in this podcast. I know that you're in my room, and I love emojis. That's your thumbs up, the hearts, or the smiley faces, or you can send me stars. And then I also, if you want to follow me, you check below and can follow me, or if you want to be notified, you can check me. I think that's how Tessa and Felicia knows. They know right off the bat. They're probably wanting to be notified. Now there's 8 rooms. There's 7 on Facebook and 1 on YouTube, and I'm broadcasting on YouTube. But everything you guys say, no matter what room you're in, will transmit here, and we can ask on here. It's important you take good notes. There are 5 rules I've come up with real quickly, and they're told in depth in all my shows, but is that you need to get a real attorney. And the attorney I'm talking about is an attorney that is licensed and professionally trained in juvenile law, family law, and dependency law. And they're licensed. And they have experience fighting CPS and getting children back. That's what's important. Now, I know some are using court-appointed attorneys, and that's fine too. But the problem is you'll find out unless you put heat underneath their pants or tell they don't perform, you'll sue them with negligence or report them to the Bar Association. They're not going to help you. They are having 30 or more cases load, so it's not really all that, they'll have all that time to fight. And they work for CPS. Now, Felicia says, can you tell me the names or titles of the documents I need to file against the attorney? Okay, let me see if I look at that. Further, she says, the appellate attorney. Now, I think, Felicia, were you doing an appeal? Can you help me refresh where you're at on your case? Yes, Cruella is in California. She's from Ventura County, and her name is Felicia, but her Facebook name is Cruella. And so she is there. And I'm glad you all are able to see the comments so I don't have to keep putting them up on the screen. Now, I did put a message on there for all the new people that's important that you use your first name in the city or county where you're from, and then also the state. And if you're from a country, the country name. And try to say as much as you can about your case. That helps a lot. And now I got a message about how to be a guest on my podcast. The court-appointed appellate attorney waived my right to oral arguments before consulting me. Okay, so when you say the court appellate attorney, are you talking about a public defender? Are you talking about the representation that CPS gives you, a court-appointed attorney? The public defender or court-appointed attorney are the same thing. I think that's what you mean, Felicia. So what you would do, and I'll try to see if, no, I don't think it's going to happen. I'm going to try to type in, but it doesn't seem to want to do it. Now, it's interesting. When I looked it up on the web page, I found Fight CPS. I found an electronic book by Mr. Davis. And I think that's really great, how you can do that. Yeah, that's a court-appointed attorney. Now, if you want to file a lawsuit, first of all, you can get this book. It's called Parents Are You in Custody? Battle with CPS in California. It says how to fight CPS and reunite with your children in the fastest time possible. If your child has been removed from your home and has been placed in foster care by CPS or DFS or all the others, any of the child protection systems, we can help your family reunite. Now, as you know, Vincent Davis has been fighting for 39 years. And if you go to this website, you can fill out your name and get this book. That is certainly because you have to do what's called a lawsuit. Now, you can fire the court appellate attorney and get another one. You can go to actually the place to provide you. In every court, there's an office for the court appointed attorneys to hang out in. And there you can replace your court appointed attorney. To file a complaint against a court appointed attorney in California, you contact the State Bar of California. You can also contact the District Attorney's Consumer and Environmental Protection Unit if you believe the attorney is practicing law without a license. Now, the State Bar of California has a number. It's 800-843-9053. You can also file a complaint online or by mail. The State Bar will investigate the complaint and determine if the attorney violated any ethical rules. And what you tell me, that was an ethical rules that he did. The State Bar will investigate the complaint and determine if the attorney violated ethical rules. If the State Bar finds a violation, they may issue a warning and agreement in lieu of discipline on the charges. I guess it depends on how severe the charges are. Now, another number, 805-862-1750, if you believe someone is practicing law without a license. Have you even checked to see if your court-appointed attorney has a license? You can also file a Marston motion to replace your court-appointed attorney. This motion is only available to defendants who believe their attorney is not providing adequate defense. So that's a Marston motion. Does that help you out, Felicia? Does that help you out? Now, Tessa says, I understand you have $0 and zero income. And I know you have to use what's available. But, you have to be aggressive on fighting these people. You have to be aggressive on fighting these people. It's really, really important that you stay persistent on that. Now, the book that I was talking about last night is another book. The book I just talked about from Vincent's office is free. How to Fight CPS. He has a lot of free stuff. And they can send you what's called electronic book. So you look on your computer. Won't cost you a dime. It won't cost you a dime. Now, Tessa says, call the State Department of Attorneys or the bar to request to make a complaint for malpractice. Good point, Tessa. A good point. Tessa further says, that's how I got my attorney to do her job. My public defender did not want to do her job, so I threatened malpractice and to report her to the bar. And now she's doing her job. Good point there, Tessa. Thank you. And Cruel says, Felicia, yes, I have checked and researched her background. That's good. Yeah, that was sweet of you, Tessa. And Cruel, you're very welcome right there. So this morning, we have Tessa from Northern California, and we have Cruel from Central California. And she has a court-appointed attorney, but she can't afford a real one. That's not doing their job. So she has to threaten her. And if she doesn't respond, then you need to file it. There's nothing wrong with that. And you can replace her with another court-appointed attorney. Do the Marston motion. And Debbie, there's a girl named Debbie Williams. It says, hello and good morning. Thank you, Bob, for helping us. I'm from Debbie Williams from Michigan. Well, I'm glad to meet you, Debbie. I'm glad to meet you, Debbie. And there's been another person from Michigan called in too. So the Child Protection Services says that you can go to stand.store, Attorney Vincent W., and you can do a civil rights complaint template they have. And so is the law office of Vincent Davis. So they're trying to help us here. It's called a complaint template. A complaint template. So all the rooms are responding too. So people are trying to help you as best as they can. As best they can. And thank you for the thumbs up, Debbie. Now on my screen, if you want to be a guest on my podcast, all you have to do is contact my show producer. Her name is Grace, and she works very hard behind the scenes. And you just email her what day you'd like to be on my show. Now I'm on twice a day, 7 days a week. That's 14 shows a week. I'm on the morning, typically at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's on the West Coast of California for 1 hour. And then at nighttime, I'm on at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So West Coast of California for 1 hour. Now, on Saturday and Sunday, I come on at 8 o'clock like I did this morning. Vincent has a morning podcast today at 10:30. It's the questions and answers. And you can join that podcast. You can join that podcast. All you do is write to Grace at vincentwdavis.com. Grace at vincentwdavis.com, and she will help you. get on my podcasts. And I use StreamYard as the application I broadcast on YouTube. So she'll give you a link to StreamYard. And if you get knocked off, you can still get back on. That link's still good. And I can take up to 9 of you. With me makes 10 on this podcast. I'm going to 10 of you talking. And that's really, really great. She will tell you what to do or say and help you with getting on the podcast. Now, my number goes up so you can call in. My number is 626. Good morning. 698-0990. And I'm able to take phone calls right now. I can only take phone calls during my podcast. I cannot answer the phone other times. So you have to call during my podcast. Now, keep in mind that calling in and being a guest, calling in and talking on my speaker phone or schedule yourself as a guest is that you'll qualify for a free 15-minute consultation with Mr. Davis, who will help you with a Zoom meeting of how to fight your case. And you do that for 15 minutes for free, no extra charges. There's a lot can get done in that 15 minutes. Okay, great, Debbie. Debbie, you can do that. That's great. And if you want to be a guest on my podcast, or if you want to call in right now, my phone is on. It's available. So we have Felicia and Debbie and Tessa here. And Debbie is from Michigan. Tessa's from Northern California. I say it every time. I'm not an attorney, but I'm just a mom fighting CPS. I know you're a mom fighting CPS. But some of you may not realize that Tessa has seizures that she cannot control. And one time she had a seizure and her husband was trying to help her, but then they accused of her husband of hurting the mother. So they took the children away. The children weren't in danger. When you deal with seizures, there's a certain way you got to restrain them so they don't hurt themselves or others. And I'm proud you're a mother fighting, Tessa. That's really good. That's really, 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 really good. Now, there's this, protecting our children has been going on for a long time. Over 300 years it goes on. Longer than we've been a country. It started in the 1600s. Then it went to the 1700s, the 1800s. Actually, it's longer than that. It's 400 years. What am I saying? It's 425 years that we've been trying to protect our children. And there is a documented case in the 1600s regarding a boy that was being mistreated. You see, for a long time, families used to put the children to work. And it's one thing to help them with chores and stuff like that, but they were actually using the family members as like slave labor. And in the industry areas of the United States, they started putting children into sweatshops where it's very hot, very unworkable conditions, and make them work 10-hour days, 7 days a week. And a child shouldn't be that way. A child needs to have a life. It's nice that they want to help out, but it is a hard thing. It is a hard thing. Now, Cruel says, I'm browsing Attorney Vincent's website. That's a great website. You'll find a lot of information that's free. How to Fight CPS is one of his big, strong books. It gives really great step-by-step dealings. But like everything else, as Tessa says, she's a mother fighting CPS. My wife and I had to fight CPS for a long time. But what's sad to say is if we knew what we knew now, back then, we would never have lost her daughter. I mean, when you are exposed to CPS, then that's when you need to go to the internet and do some serious investigation. That's how my wife found Vincent Davis. We learned a lot. You know, that's the sad part about things. If I ever had more children and I had to go through all this, I would know what to do and not to do. Now, if any of you grandparents are listening and want a great guide, it's a California guide of how to get guardianship of your grandchildren. It's a step-by-step guide. You can go to two places. I have one number on my screen, 888-888-6582. That's the law office of Vincent Davis. There you can ask for that guide. Or you can go to the website, https, and then Stan the store and attorney Vincent Davis, so forth. How to exercise your rights as grandparents. You have a discount code, my name, all capital letters, PACE 50, or Vincent's discount code, VWD 50. So that would work there too. So as I say, historically, we've been fighting for children. It wasn't really the child protection system really started actively doing anything. It wasn't really until the 70s, to be honest with you, from what I read, up into the 1970s, that really two things happened. And one of the first things was in 1978 was what was called the ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act. You have to see our first immigrants were the Native American Indians. Now in Canada, they're called the First Nation Indians. In the United States, they're called the Native American Indians. They're our first immigrants. They were here a long time before the Vikings started exploring North America. The Vikings were the first Europeans to explore North America. And they did it well before the 1600s. They were exploring in the 800s, 900s AD. That was a long time, if you think about that. The Vikings were here in North America 2,000 years or so before them, or 1,500 years. Then the Europeans came, and as I mentioned, that case in the 1600s about that boy, it was a recorded case. But we need to protect our children. We care about our children. And they're very precious to us. And it's hard when you lose a child or two. It really is hard. Now everybody started to stop talking. I don't know what's happened to Tessa, Felicia. We had some people talking here for a while. Debbie, who is from Michigan, Felicia and Tessa, who are both from California. And I know that Tessa has talked to Vincent Davis, and he's helped her out with some things too. So there's a lot of stuff that Vincent Davis gives out. And he should be one of your 3 candidates you should interview about representing you, because you'll need a lawyer, because CPS is corrupt. They're not fair, they're not honest. As I was telling you earlier, that wasn't until 1978 when we first started getting something going with CPS. And that was the Indian Child Welfare Act. What that basically was doing is for 100 years, from the 1870s when they're putting families, Indian people, on reservations, these Indians that were put on reservations, their children were taken to private schools and they were disciplined, severely hurt and abused, these Indian children were. And if they ever were taken into custody by CPS, especially in the 70s, the 80s, so forth like that. Well, actually, the 70s, the 60s, and 50s. You see, when an Indian family was investigated, the children were automatically put up for adoption. Indian families still didn't have much rights. I don't know why they think that Indian people are not equal to us. I mean, we always think Europeans are more superior. And I'm always saying that because the majority of the explorers have been from Europe. So what this law basically tells you is that if you're of Indian ancestor, if you have about 25% Indian blood in you, and you can be registered or already registered in one of the 548 federal tribes, your children will be placed, instead with CPS, to be placed with the reservation Indians. See, all the Indians have reservations. And what the children will be done is to be placed in a family with the purpose of reunifying them back with the parents. It's important that Indian families are bonded with their mom and dad. You see, it's been proven through numerous studies that the best parents are the biological parents, the mother and father. And all possible reunification should take place. You see, when Congress mandated that a part of social services become a watchdog for protection of our children from neglect or abuse. With that being said, it's very important that our children are protected. But lately, CPS has gone rogue, and their only interest in one thing is making money. That's all CPS cares about that I've seen in my case. My case was in Orange County, California. And like with Tessa and Felicia, who are in Ventura County and Shasta County up there in Northern California, It's not been about the family. It's not been about how to take care of the family. Not only are the social workers supposed to protect their children, they're supposed to help out families in need. For the last 4 years, they've been helping out all the homeless people of the world. The crooks and villains that can't survive in their country have come into our open borders and depleted our resources. Because you see, social services gives us, will give they're supposed to give food, shelter, clothing, transportation, education, medical, and even a job. That's what the purpose of social workers is. Also, another purpose of them is to protect our children from neglect or abuse. So they formed in the CPS system, and each state or each county is different. Every county has a CPS system. And it is hard. Because they've found out that money is a nice thing. You see, CPS is doing $1 trillion business of taking your children. $1 trillion business. What that means, they've learned how to make money for bonuses and incentives. The government in 1994, under Bill Clinton at the time, signed into law the Incentive Act. That's where they give children, they give foster care, they actually give CPS bonuses if the foster care people adopt them. They really want to encourage adoption instead of family reunification. That's wrong. If a parent has a hiccup, they can be fixed. They can take parenting classes, or if they have a drug problem or alcohol problem, they can take a program that'll help them. It's encouraged to do family reunification, but it takes a long process because the classes, some are a year long. You can take some at the same time, so some are a year long. It's a hard process for a parent to deal with CPS. You show up every day in court to fight your children. You meet with your attorney. And at first we had court-appointed attorneys, but it didn't work out. And we have to have a real attorney. And we did whatever we could to get that money for a real attorney. And my real attorney was Vincent W. Davis. Now, as I mentioned, he's 30 years fighting CPS. But also, he does lawsuits against CPS. When you get an attorney that can do both, get your check and file lawsuits, then you have yourself a good attorney. But it takes money to file a lawsuit. A retainer is about $50,000 to file a lawsuit against CPS. Now, it should be something where they get a percentage of what they win. If they're given money up front, I don't know how well they will perform. All right. Tessa says she's here. The problem is that with 7 rooms sending in text messages, they're participating too, and so they get mixed up with you guys' messages. So I'm glad you're still here, Tessa. My domestic violence class is so sexist, but I can't say anything because I'm helping my husband with his class, and it's evil. So sexist. I had no idea that it was sexist. And so Tessa loves her husband. What had happened is her husband was wrongly accused of hurting Tessa when she was going through seizures. Anybody that has seizures will have bouts of spasmodic parts of the body will go crazy. And there's a method you do is you hold the person to help them so they don't harm themselves or someone else. And because he was doing that, they were wrongfully accused, and their child was taken from them. Their child was taken from them, and that is wrong. What danger is the child in? Yes, having a seizure is something that some people have to deal with. Now, she has a doctor, and she's now forced her court-appointed attorney to subpoena the doctor. There was a sheriff that did a welfare check and saw nothing of that suit. And the guy that supposedly had called in to complain about her husband beating up his wife, he will testify he never did call in. CPS has made up the whole story. You see, what CPS does, they've learned to lie. And they don't feel guilty about lying. Why? They want that money to roll in. Now, in Orange County, the state of California, with the money they received from the federal government, was given the county, Orange County Child Protection Services, CPS there, $20,000 per child. That's 3 children, that's $60,000. And on top of that, they had a social worker who didn't even have a high school education, no mentoring with a senior social worker, a social worker that's been working a long time. No other training. Orange County is very corrupt. They lie. I remember going to the rooms, and all she seemed to talk about was a Gucci purse, her eyelashes. All the money that she was getting as bonuses and incentives to keep the children in custody of CPS. They were doing child trafficking, and that's illegal. They're doing child trafficking. They take your child and put them automatically in foster care. And depending on the foster care person, they can be good or bad. Now, we have a lady here named Betty from Montana that's a foster care mom. She's a good mom. Last week, a family was driving, and the mother and father were killed. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
Pretty good, and welcome. And who am I talking to?
You're talking to Kimberly Santana, sir. I've been watching you for a few days.
Okay.
And just taking in things that you were saying.
Oh, good.
And,
good. Where are you from? Where are you from, Kimberly Santana?
I'm actually in San Leandro, California.
Oh, okay. Is that
Right.
in Southern California or Northern California?
That's northern, so I'm right next door to Oakland, California.
Okay, I know where the Oakland is, and you're across from Tessa, who's on the show from Shasta County. So okay. And do you have a case with CPS?
Yes, I'm actually the grandparent.
Oh, they're important people, by the way.
Thank you, sir. And actually, my grandchildren are actually down in Fresno.
Okay.
That's where they're at. And it's 4 of my grandchildren. And for the last 2 years, me, my husband, and my ex-husband have been fighting like hell to get these grandbabies. And it is astounding that what we have went through. And we finally got a lawyer, and when the last 2 times we went to court, they would not even allow the lawyer to even speak via Zoom. And we were literally railroaded in court.
Wow.
And so
was the judge corrupt? Was the judge corrupt?
The judge was very short and very, how can I put it? She's very temperamental, how she operates her courtroom. So the last time I went to court, I had checked with the bailiff to make sure that my attorney was going to be on via Zoom. He assured me it was there. He was not there. So something was quite odd. I noticed, because I physically go to court, I noticed when I stepped in, CPS, the new CPS worker was not there. The caregiver, she was on via Zoom with my grandchildren, and I said, something is not right. And then also my daughter, she didn't lose all of her parental rights, but she was on via Zoom. And they granted the caregiver guardianship of my 4 grandchildren, plus she has 3 of her own children, and she's trying to do all of this so that she's dealing with 7 children all at once.
How old are the 4 grandchildren? How old are the 4 grandchildren?
Let's see, 14, 13, and then the twins are 9 years old.
Okay, so you got 2 at 9, 14. Okay, they got your teenagers there at your teenager time. What happened with the parents? What happened with the mother and father of all those 4 children?
Okay, what happened is my daughter is a real religious fanatic. I mean, to the extreme.
Okay.
And their father had passed. He was deceased.
Is that the same father for all 4 children?
Huh?
Is that the same father for all 4 children?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. And I'm sorry with the loss of the father, because those children need a real father.
Yes, they do. So their father died, and they had lived like a really secluded life up in the hills in Fresno. My grandchildren are biracial. We're African American. And just to set it up, my daughter's husband was 44 years older than her.
Okay.
And and I'm not saying that's a bad thing or anything like that.
No. And also, there's nothing wrong with being an African American. I mean, we are a culture of many cultures in the United States. I mean, we are, but it seems like a lot of cultures are suppressed or taken advantage of. Whether you're an African American or a Native Indian, your rights seem to be like worthless, and you could be anybody there. But I understand that. So now you, as grandparents, want to get guardianship of your grandchildren, right?
Yeah. So what we've been doing for the last 2 years, sir, we my husband, my ex-husband, and I, all 3 of us, never ever miss a court date. We're always physically there.
Okay. Now, when you say physically, are you guys driving from Oakland area, California, all the way to Fresno every time?
Every time, which is 224 miles one way.
I know. I've driven to Frisco many a time, so I know what it is. And I know the Fresno area because it's the gateway to our forest in there, Yosemite. So I go through Fresno a lot to go to Yosemite. So
I'm demonstrating to you our dedication of going back and forth to court. So when I was talking to one of the CPS workers, they said that I had to take these classes online, which was back in August of 2023. I immediately took the classes, went through the orientation, and received my certificate of August 16th, 2023. This is how, because I write everything down, got all my paperwork.
What is the
So
certificate in? What's the certificate in?
The certificate the certificate. Let me get my paperwork, because I should have had my paperwork as I was.
That's all right. That's all right. I mean, are you getting a
I have it right
certificate
here.
as a grandparent, or what is the certificate for?
Oh, I'm looking. Let me cut on the light, and I'll tell you what it's for.
Yeah, yeah.
I have it right here. I have all my paperwork. And thank you, sir, for taking the time to hear me out.
It's my pleasure, because I care about everyone in here. I care about grandparents too, you know.
Yeah, that's why I've been listening to you. Okay, the certificate of the certificate. Let's see, Fresno County Resource Family Orientation, and it's a certificate of RFA. That's the initials there. Orientation attended. So I had to take these online classes, and then I was able to print out certificate, and then they mailed me an official one.
Right.
So once I got the certificate, maybe like a week or so later, I received a call from a man named Alex Renton, and he said that he was the liaison guy because I'm in Alameda County, and my grandchildren are down in Fresno,
Right.
and that he would be helping me since we're in different counties. And I'm like, okay, I'm so naive. I'm just green, and I'm going by what everybody is saying.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And then Alex never helped me. So then I received a call from a man named Frank, and he's the supervisor. And Frank had told me, he said that before me and my husband and my adult son do the live scan, he said that it would be better to wait for my grandchildren, because they were in school, to do everything during the summer, because we don't want to break them up going to school. And I said, yeah, I'm in agreement with that, because they've been shuffled around a lot.
Right.
So what we did, sir, was so in the summer of 2024, me, my husband, and adult son went down and did the fingerprinting and all of that. So naturally, they're going to check your background to see if you have a criminal record and all. Which
Right.
my husband does have a criminal record. The
Okay.
crime that was committed was over 25 years ago. It was not a crime against children or anything.
Okay.
So the CPS worker that I was talking to, and her name is Miss Cherise Stearns, she said, we have to let CPS in Fresno know about this situation, and they have to grant an exemption. She said, we do it all the time. It's not a big deal. So she talked to my husband about everything. So she said, I have to talk to your husband because I'll be violating the HIPAA laws. And
Right.
I said, okay. So my husband, and we knew this was going to come up and all. So we're waiting, and I waited 2 weeks. So I called Miss Cherise Stearns, and I said, we got the house all set up for inspection and all. Has the exemption been granted? She said, let me check my email. She checks the email, and my grandchildren's new CPS worker emailed her, and he said that he had a conversation with me that I was in agreement of giving up my grandchildren. So I called him, and this CPS worker is named Mr. Thomas Calkelson. And when I talked to him, I was literally in shock. And I said to him, I never had that conversation with you, sir. I said, when I talked to you on the phone, the conversation that I had with you was the caregiver, the foster care mother, called me and said that my daughter picked up a pair of scissors and chased my granddaughter through the house and chopped her hair off and I was concerned about her safety. And then in the same day, when they took the children to the doctor, my daughter was screaming at the doctor's office that this woman had kidnapped my 4 grandchildren, and the police was involved. So I was concerned about their safety. And he said, no, we really had that conversation. And I said to him, the way you're talking to me is like my grandchildren are being put on an auction block, and you just auction them off. I said, I'm an African-American woman. I was insulted. I was shaking and stuff. And he said, what is the big deal? The children have been there that long. Leave them there where they were at. So then I said to him, Mr. Palperson, what about granting the exemption for my, granting the exemption? And he said to me, it's a long, drug-out process. He said it to me twice because I write everything down. And the last thing he said to me was, just get your house ready for inspection.
You're right.
Okay?
They don't want, see what's happened is that they want those children to remain in foster care because they get money every month for those children. And the longer they keep them in, the more money that CPS gets it. Now, I'm not trying to cut you short here, but my show time is over at 9:00. And I have another podcast with Vincent Davis that comes on about 10:30, which you're welcome to listen to. It's a question and answer session he does. But if you'd like to continue this conversation tonight at 7 p.m. or tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., because on the weekends I come on early at 8, or that night. I'm on twice a day. I'm on twice a day, and I love to continue this conversation. It's very interesting, and I have some ideas that will help you. And so if you call me back again. Now, did you know about the guide that Mr. Davis has for grandparents? Have you seen that guide in California? It's the grandparents' rights. It's brand new. It just came out. There's been links to it here that if you look at one of the rooms, it's offered at the Stand store, but it's a guide on how to exercise your rights as a grandparent. It's a step-by-step, how to see your grandchildren if CPS is violating everything. And there's a discount code. You can either use my name, PACE 50, or Vincent's name, VWD 50, and you get 50% off. Yeah, 50% off. It's $9.99, but you get it for $4.99. And it's a great guide. Tessa has got it. Other people in this room that talk to me all the time have got it. And so I really don't mean to cut this short, but I'm already over my time. But I want to say God bless you, and do not give up. Do not give up. You're doing what is right.
All right. Thank you, sir. I'll be back at 7.
Okay. Well, thank you for calling in, and God bless you. And again, I hope to talk to you tonight or tomorrow morning or I'm on 14 times a week, so you can't miss me. All right. I'm here. All right. So with that being said,
all right, bye-bye.
To all of you people that are in my room here, I want to thank you. I want to thank Tessa that has called in. I mean, not Tessa called in. Tessa has been asking questions. Felicia, who says she has the website, and she's talking about the things that she was taking. And I'm sorry. Okay, it's 7 p.m., Tessa. 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You're on California time, so it's the same thing. And then Tess says, Cruella, would you want to talk to me? You can email me. I'm just a mom trying to help other parents. And Felicia says, I don't know if I mentioned this yet, but the adults that the agency decided to stick with for permanencies, the man is a chronic alcoholic for decades until now and has a wife that has development of physical disability, which she's been trying to qualify for SSDI for years, but she's so simple that she keeps messing it up with the federal government. Who's live, Bob? I missed it. That was a lady from San Francisco area, a sweet mom, a grandparent who's trying to adopt her 4 grandchildren, and she'll be on again. His name is Kimberly, and she's a neighborhood near Oakland. Thank you, Felicia. That was Kimberly that was on the phone. I want to thank Kimberly for opening up her heart and talking. She's the grandmother fighting for her grandchildren in Fresno County. So thank you, Felicia, for helping out Tessa there. When parenting rights are terminated, will the biological parents be notified of the finalization of this adoption? There's not much notification. You got to be on your toes and pick and call and call and call. They do have a right to be notified. You do have a right. You have a hearing when your rights are being terminated, and you have a right to appeal your rights being terminated. Never give up your medical or educational rights. And Tessa says her child was adopted by a scum load, my husband's ex-adopted grandmother. An adoption went through last year. Oh, I didn't know that, Tessa. I had no idea that your child, I thought it was just recently taken. Once the rights are terminated, they can do anything with that child. You're right. Once the rights are terminated, they can. Felicia says, I sent my email, Tessa. And then Felicia feels, I feel like my babies may have been adopted already. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, Felicia. I want to help you all. How can you verify it? Well, you're going to have to use an attorney, use a court-appointed attorney and ask them. There's a procedure you can do. You can contact the CPS supervisor, the director of CPS there where the child was. You can find it. We can talk about this later, but I've gone way over my time and I have another show starting. So there'll be a brief message from Vincent Davis when I sign off. Please, all of you, keep fighting. Don't give up. Do not give up. This is Bob Pace saying God bless you. Take care. And I'm signing.
Feeling lost in the maze of CPS? Desperate to get your child back? You're not alone. Countless parents face the heart-wrenching reality of family separation. The legal system can be overwhelming, but there's hope.
Now, here's the key. Okay, that's how you win a 6-month hearing.
Thank you.
If you do all of those things, you're going to blow your social worker's mind, you're going to blow your attorney's mind, and you're going to blow away the judge.
With attorney Vincent W. Davis, a dedicated legal expert with 39 years of experience, committed to helping families like yours. Join his weekly live Q&A on Zoom, where you can ask your burning questions about CPS cases. Get the knowledge and strategies you need to fight for your child's return.
Alrighty, good evening everyone. This is our question and answer session.
Are you ready to take control of your family's future? Participate as a one-time guest. Don't let fear hold you back. Take the first step towards reuniting your family. Join us now.